following program is brought to you with limited commercial interruption.
Today's broadcast is being simulcast in broken English.
I'm here to show the world. I'm here to show the world.
Welcome to the show that we're doing right now.
What the hell are we doing on this show?
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Let's go.
What is this?
Giggity, 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 goo.
Who else but
The Q?
it's showtime!
Gentlemen, let's get down to business.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yeah, I can dig it, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Q. You're listening to the best pop culture, current events, current affairs show east or west of that Mississippi River, hailing from the great city of St. Louis and worldwide at theqnow.com. Also, 105.3 FM News Radio, 1280 AM KYRO. That's right. We're the blowtorch of the Midwest. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to just say it. We're the blowtorch of the Midwest. Don't even care what you think about that. Other people in the market. So here's the dealio. Welcome to The Q. My name is Mark Bland, as always, and I am joined today by some fun people. Now, Jason Kull is here.
Yeah,
Jason has been here back again. He's been on the show with us recently, but joining us for the first time in quite a bit of time because lives are busy, guys. That's just how the world works. Sometimes you're a busy person, sometimes you're not. He's been very busy over the last few months. I think it's been 6 or plus months since he's been on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one special man in our lives, Mr. Andy Echele. What's going on, Andy?
Hey. Not a lot. Glad to be back on. Glad we can get
we
together.
love it when you come back on because our conservative numbers rise so heavily.
I highly doubt
After
that.
you show up. No, they do. There are. Listen, as we've always said, I pull from both sides. So we have fans on the left, we have fans on the right. You know what I'm saying? These numbers for the conservative
here
side.
I am stuck in the middle with you.
Yeah, except for you're more right than me. You're more right than me. I think
And
we've
you're
all...
way more left than me. So.
No. I'm just to the left of you. I'm still in the center.
Oh, no, bro. No,
Remember, I said that you're right.
No, the center is the center.
Oh, I know.
And
You
I'm
wanted
on the
to,
right,
yeah.
and you're on the left.
Oh, you think you're right center.
Yeah, I'm right center, you're left center.
You think you're right center.
Yeah.
Let's see how right center you really are.
Northeast, left,
Why don't you go ahead, right
west.
center, explain to us right off the top. Listen, we'll go in fresh, guys. We'll go in fresh with nobody. Look, Britney Griner. Do you know who she is?
I do.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
The situation?
Sure do.
Go ahead. Tell me your thoughts on Britney Griner as it right now, just fresh in. We're not even going to give any...
Fresh in.
Well,
right she kind of deserves whatever punishment comes from the trying to export illegal drugs.
All right. That was very staunch center right. Not center and leaning to the right. No. Center right. Like that was the center of the right with your answer. Now, I'm not saying that I disagree with you completely. I do not necessarily agree with you completely. I feel that there is a middleman here within this. There's a lot of aspects
Which
to this.
like
case.
what? She should be on probation. Like she has to go back to Russia once a month and check
I
in
feel
with
like,
Theo.
first off, I understand how our rules here in this country and on this landmass do not apply to the rest of the world. They don't give a shit about us. Excuse my language. They don't care. This is not something that they are worried about. They think of us as arrogant, pushy, over the top. They look at the Americans as everything that they hate. Some of it's because we're number one. Some of it's because of the way we act. Sometimes it's just because wherever they're at is just miserable. They're depressed and unhappy, but the United States just looks like they got it all in spades. Your life, Andy, looks like $1 million to somebody in some of these other countries. Looks like $1 million.
Maybe some third world countries.
No,
but
even
Russia
some
is
second
not,
world.
No.
Oh, no.
And Russia's not a second world country. Russia is a world power.
First off, did you see this invasion in Ukraine? They are not a world power. Stop this now. We are not going to play this game anymore. War. Like the Cold War is, no. I saw what you tried to do with Scud missiles from like 38 years ago. No, Vlad. No, bro. You are not what I consider a world power. Now, you might be able to get a couple of players on your team, and I'll start to worry about you a little bit more. But until that happens, with what I just saw, dude, 600 Ukrainians with machine guns took out almost 3,000 Russian troops in a battle. Like, stop this.
Hey,
no,
man,
you are not.
That's that whole dog in a fight and fighting a dog thing.
The wag the dog? Or you talking about wag the dog?
No, they got a piece in the game.
I'm talking about it's not the size of the
fighting the dog. Yeah. It's crazy, though. That's craziness.
Yeah,
it's literally is. So when I hear that,
but
or
that's
I see
also
videos
a
of
very good argument for not having gun control.
What's that?
Or should I say, not giving up your rights for gun control.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention to everybody. We're going to put a pin in there for a second. I forgot to bring up to everybody that we have Michael Bruhin coming on the show here in just a little bit. We're going to talk some baseball. We're going to talk about the upcoming season and what's going on with that. So me and Michael Bruhin are going to chop it up, and just stay tuned. That's coming up here on KYRO shortly. But pin back out. Good argument for gun control, or lack of gun control.
Yeah, lack of gun control. Because what would have happened if, I don't know, let's say Ukraine's president said,
everybody can have a gun.
No. Not everybody can have a gun. Nobody can have a gun. Nobody needs to have a magazine that carries 30 rounds of ammunition in it. Nobody needs to have an AR-15 because that's the most deadliest gun of all times ever.
We are the only country out of the civilized, what we consider the civilized countries. We're the only country outside of Russia and the Middle East and all those countries, as well as into, because even China controls the gun. They don't have guns. My point being, we're one of the few countries in the world that actually allows guns.
Well, these Ukrainians...
And just says, anybody can have a gun, you can buy a gun, do what you want.
They didn't go to their closet and grab their guns. The government gave them to them. They called them together as a militia.
Sure, but this is my point. It's not like he changed it. Exactly. That's where I'm saying the argument for gun control one way or the other, I don't think matters, because when it comes... everybody wants to believe that everybody's this feeble little punk. And the truth is that a lot of people are just normal human beings. If you're going to show up in a negative and a malicious way with a gun at my doorstep, most human beings are going to grab a gun themselves. That's just the natural way, because we all understand how guns work. Now, I'm sure there's some really old crotchety woman from California that you absolutely hate that probably said something about she wants gun control. Great. She's one human being in her 80s that literally represents no one else in this country. Literally, she has her own district, her own people. That's it. That's it. One state. Just one state. Yeah, and she doesn't even represent all of that state.
But the problem is the 80-year-old in Washington, D.C. that does represent this country that talks about...
She's one. Keep going.
What? I'm sorry?
She's one person.
No, not she. He. Whenever he can fully make a statement without muttering off into the space.
Oh, you're talking about President Joe Biden.
That's the guy.
Oh, yeah, just like President Donald Trump. That's how we refer to President Donald Trump, too.
I'm pretty sure Donald Trump could at least finish his thoughts.
I don't know.
A lot more than Biden could?
Well, right now, I feel I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like right now we got some even running going on. Biden, we're only walking into year 2. So he's still got 2 more past this to add on. So he'll probably be ahead of him.
Hold on, wait, stop. Hold on right there. I'm going to put
He'll probably be ahead of him before.
Let's put a pin in this. I guarantee you, by this time next year, okay, by the end of March of next year, Biden will not be president.
Because he passed away?
No, because Kamala Harris and all the rest of them Dems are going to activate Amendment 25 and they're going to get him kicked out.
Why?
You really think that they're going to go down that
Why would they do that?
I sure do.
What would be the benefit to do that? Just because they think by that time dementia or something?
No, because that way Kamala Harris has 2 years in office, and then she can run for president 2 more times, and then the Democrats have a 10-year span of being in control.
I don't. Wait. I don't. She could run for president 1 more time as president if she serves 1 year minimum of a term of a 4-year term.
It's 2 years.
But then she still would have, like, you got to hope, like, time-wise, it works out exactly what you're
That's
talking about.
why I'm saying, if you remember back in the day, right when Biden got elected,
This sounds like a Q conspiracy theory, and we're on the Q. So congratulations. You found a place.
No, I said, back when he first got elected, I said he's not going to last 90 days because they're going to enact Amendment 25.
That was wrong.
I did a little bit of research on it, and it turns out
What
that
if you had done that research before?
If she does it before 2023, she can only run for one more term.
Okay.
If she does it after 2023, after January of 2023,
I can feel this.
she can run for 2 more terms.
Okay. You guys have built up the liberals and Democrats into the boogeyman that doesn't exist. That's what has happened to you guys.
Really? Because I'm pretty sure you guys built up Trump into the orange boogeyman.
Oh, no. I mean, he just told everybody that Putin was a genius. And then a day later, after his handlers got a hold of that social media, got a hold of it, it's like, that's right. I'm still trying to run for President of the United States. I better change up my tune real quick. I hate him now. I hate him. He's the worst human being that's ever existed.
I don't even know who he is.
I don't even know who he is. Yeah, dude, he would deny his own kids. He literally would deny his own kids. That's funny.
We've gone way off course from the original.
But anyway,
topic.
the point being,
the original conversation was that I'm in the right. I'm in the center of the right because I said that Britney Griner deserves to serve whatever sentence she's imposed by breaking that country's laws.
Majority of liberals would not say that she deserves anything other than to get her ass home.
Why?
Because she is our
let me ask
American
you a question.
citizen.
Oh, okay. So
now, see, as I start to present that liberal ideal, immediately it becomes, we need to discuss this. We got to fight and argue about this because
no fight and argument.
I thought you were in the center. I thought you were Mr. Center.
I am.
So go ahead and pull from that side. Go ahead, pull from that side. Pull from the
So you said that as liberals, they think that she just needs to get her butt home.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I go down to Mexico.
That's what liberals would say. Yes.
Yeah. So I go to Mexico and I break a bunch of rules down there, right? Like they catch me smuggling cocaine from, whatever, Colombia into Mexico.
Okay.
Okay. And I get arrested in Mexico and I'm sitting in a Mexican prison. Do you think any bleeding heart liberal is going to be like, oh my God, Andy Echele deserves to go free?
I'm sorry that she's more popular than you.
Well, so it's purely based on her popularity?
No.
It's purely based because she's an athlete?
What about that
because
one,
she's a gay?
No.
Is it because she's a lesbian? Is it because why does she deserve to be sent home when I would deserve to just sit and rot in a Mexican prison?
I remember Democratic.
Did you notice how
that guy that remember the former military guy that wandered into Mexico with a gun and got arrested? People wanted him out.
We have Otto Warmbier.
He wasn't a liberal guy.
Otto Warmbier. Remember
the guy
him?
from North Korea.
We have what was his name? The
Singapore.
the guy that was in the military, who like defected to ISIS and then they came back. Bo Bergdahl or whatever like that. We have people like that. Like we have human beings that Obama went and helped get a military veteran who actually said, well, have you ever listened to that case or checked that case out?
No.
It's a really interesting story because everybody in his military unit claims he defected, like he became ISIS. His argument was, I was in the middle of my post, like doing my stations or whatever like that, and they came out of nowhere. They grabbed me and just took me. Now, at that time in history, that was happening to people because of ISIS and Al Qaeda and them at that time period during the war. That was happening. So his argument was not unfounded or something that was blowing anybody's mind by any means. But the problem was his whole unit was like, no, this dude defected, and he tore out on us, and it was just like this weird back and forth. In any of those cases, it doesn't matter. She's the same thing that you are, Andy, which is definitely not
an
staunch.
American citizen?
Not staunch center right. She is an American citizen.
You're right.
That's right. So
at what point
she should be brought home?
Okay, so she should be brought home. So at what point?
During this wartime situation that's going on with Russia.
Just during this war point. Okay.
Russia's in the middle of a war. Have you noticed?
Sure, yeah.
Have you turned on any station?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, I'm just asking.
So just because of that, she deserves to be sent. So if I go to Russia,
and then a war breaks out, or during a wartime situation, and you are captured and held against your will. Like here's the thing: you're bypassing.
But no. Is this because I broke the law? Or is this because I just got captured because I'm an American?
I love it. Once again, baby out with the bathwater every time. Let's get back to the bathwater for just a second. We have a situation where a woman was arrested and she's been in prison for 3 weeks solid before anyone in America finds out. Her mom, her dad, her family, the president of the United States, Kamala Harris. It doesn't, 80-year-olds in California. It doesn't matter who it was. 3 weeks. They won't let her talk. There's nothing. Nothing. Now, that's weird. She's playing for a team over there that's paying her money, but it's like an official team, like a part of this major. Like, you would think that there's the head of that league, and then there's her coaches, and they're like, you would think all this. But no. When they go silent like that, and yes, now the game and the optics of what we're playing with change. It's not just I got caught with hashish oil over here and I'm a bad person, smack me on my wrist anymore. No. Now it's, wait a second, I can't call my mom. Do you think that Britney Griner sat there for an entire 3-week period and never one time said, can I get out of here? Let me call my parents. Let me call somebody in the United States. Can I call my girlfriend? Can I call my wife, my black wife? Can I call her?
I'm sorry.
By the way, my gay black wife. Can I call her Russian person who hates all 3 of those things? Like, can I please? Do you think that happened? Sure it did. The same way it would happen with you, Andy, because if you were stuck in a situation like that, you would probably, at least at some point, ask for, can I talk to this at the U.S. Embassy, or can I talk to somebody with the blah, blah, blah. You would ask. I'm not saying that you would be clear to... Listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break here on the Q. When we come back, after my conversation with Michael Bruhin coming up right now, we'll get back into this a little bit, okay? Because this will give you some time to think about it. You know what I'm saying? To have your
no,
ideas.
because I already have my next argument.
Okay, that's fine.
Real simple.
When you come back, your next argument is first up. Fair enough?
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, we'll be back on the Q in KYRO 105.3 FM News Radio, KYRO 1280 AM right after this.
Man, I got it swag. My hat matching my bag. You know I'm poppin' tag. 'Cause man, I got it swag. Man, I got it swag. My hat matching my bag. You know I'm poppin' tag.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Q. Mark Bland, and as I promised, baseball insider Michael Bruhin is with us. What's going on, Mike? How is life treating you in the world today, sir?
Not too bad. I'm still breathing, so.
You're still breathing. You're still here. Well, welcome to the Q. We appreciate you taking the time of your busy schedule to talk to us at all, because you are one said lover of the professional sport of baseball. Are you not, sir?
Yeah, I love all sports, but baseball is what I grew up playing, so definitely got a little bit different feeling towards that.
Well, now let's talk to you a little bit about that. So you've been playing baseball a majority of your life. You ended up as one of the top 100, 150 players, correct?
Yeah, out of high school, that's about what I was at. I went to PG National, which is the top 150 for junior class. That's awesome, man. And now, currently, you have a business that you run, right? Correct? You are an agent?
Yes, yeah. So I a talent agency. Right now, we're focused on music, but eventually we'll be all forms of talent. So podcasting, sports, whatever works out.
You're focused on music, though, huh? I used to have a little bit of background in music myself. I know a couple of people around the world who've done a couple of things, so I understand exactly what it's like to be in those shoes. At the same point, I could use an agent right now, a pro wrestling agent. I'm telling you, I could use one right now. If you were a pro wrestling agent, Mike, I could make it so that we make money. Money. That's it. That's all there is to it. But right now, we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about professional baseball. The major leagues are back, and I'm sure at one point, Mr. Bruhin, you were on edge like everybody else. We had a season that looked like it was in decline. It looked like it was not going to happen. They were canceling games, pushing things back. It looked like these guys weren't going to come to an agreement for this collective bargaining stuff at all. And they were able to pull it off.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to play.
You didn't think they were going to play at all?
Mm-mm. Based on what I was hearing from the guys that I know, they were at a deadlock, and then all of a sudden, everybody just put their hands up and like, you know what, whatever, let's get the season off.
Well, and I think can we talk about this before we get into like previewing the season, stuff like that? I feel like that this is an interesting thing to talk about because I talked about it on the show when it was first popping off, and I said this is a problem because this is rich guys. Well, let's think about this. You're talking about minimum wage or minimum pay
for a person sitting on the bench on the team, right, who just goes out before the game and plays catch with the guy who's going to end up being the starter for third base or whatever, okay? That guy's making $450,000 a year, somewhere around there, okay? That's a lot of money. Even for the people that live around wherever you live right now currently, Mike, that's just a lot of money to be making per year. You know, you got a lot of families that the mom might make 50 to 60, 70,000. The dad might make 80 to 100,000. You're talking about less than $200,000 between two people that have to work 40 to 50 hours a week each just to get to that. This is one guy at 19, 20, 21, whatever it is, depending on how they got drafted and how it all worked out, making $450,000 off the top. Now, not knocking those individuals and not knocking those baseball players for wanting more. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But when you're already there, it's really difficult for that person who only makes $80,000 a year and works 60 hours a week to look at it, who's a huge baseball fan, loves baseball, pays $100 for parking and beers and everything, and plus his $100 for per ticket or whatever, depending on where he wants to sit. Like, this person sees that situation and goes, I don't feel bad for either side here. Plus, I know that I'm the one who's going to get the 12-ounce beer that costs $30. Like, I'm the one who's going to pay that price. So I don't feel that a lot of people felt bad for the baseball players this time around, because I remember the last time they locked out. I remember the last time that it was, I think it was like 93, 94. Like, I was a senior or junior in high school when it happened last. So my point being is, I feel like people looked at this situation as rich people being rich. What do you think?
There's a lot of things that go into it. When you're on a regimen or whatever, and you're expected to make this amount of money, then all of a sudden you're getting cut down to, $4,000 a month with the situation that they had set up with the union, that you change your whole lifestyle. So you got different taxes that you're paying and different lifestyles you're living, whether it's your rent or the cars that you drive or just the way you move around.
But aren't those all ancillary things? Those are things that, like, you can drive a Nissan Maxima. Like, you don't have to have like the high-end 5 Series BMW. It's not necessary. Like, you can do this over here.
Not at all. It's more so that they are already accustomed to what it is. So they'd have to completely toss what they have, downgrade, all over the owners trying to say that they're not worth more when they know it's coming in. So it all comes down to knowing your worth. And that's a big topic in today's world.
So I guess that leads to this question. That leads to this question then. The question is I just saw, was it Bryant just went over to the Rockies, right? 4 years. Yeah, for like 4 years, $120 million. And we know that at this point in his career, he might not technically be worth that. Like a few years ago, yeah. But this second, he might not be worth quite that. But here's the problem. He's getting it. We got Aaron Rodgers getting it. We're going to have Patrick Mahomes and Lamar and them getting it. Like, every sport, they seem to be getting these contracts. And at one point, we looked at the A-Rod 10-year, $25 million a year deal for $250 million. We're like, holy crap, this is amazing. But it was spread out over 10 years. Now they're getting this stuff in a 3, 4, 5-year max deal. And it's like, at what?
And all this money maneuvered based on, like the Watson deal. They moved his salary back all the way to year 3, 4, because he might get suspended year 1. So they're backloading his contract to make sure he gets it. So these GMs are getting smart. Like the Wander Franco deal, I think, is the biggest indicator that they're not going to do that long-term deal past 28 now. They're going to try to lock them up early, try to get them at a steal, kind of like the Albies deal a couple years ago, 7 years, $70 million for him.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's a crazy value, but because he was 21, 22, coming from where he came from, that's life-changing money to him.
So let me ask the question then. The question is, at what point are we going to draw the line in the sand and say, okay, that's enough money? Like, you guys are getting enough money. Like seriously, some of these contracts, I couldn't spend all the money, like $120 million right now in my bank account. I literally, even living the lifestyle of wanting better to upgrade my upgrades or anything like that, like simply that right there, more money than I can spend. I mean, that's paying all my kids' college, everything. The house is off anytime. I can move 5 times. I can literally move 5 times, have someone do all the work for me, pay it all off, and I'd still have $100 million plus in the bank. My point being, couldn't spend it all. That's a 4-year deal. Some of these guys, they're on their, but they already have, like, look at an Aaron Rodgers. Do we think Aaron Rodgers' bank account's hurting right now? Like right now, before the $200 million deal, Is he hurting right now? No, he was not hurting at all. To get that $200 million, sure, he's worth it, but do we eventually have to go as the fans, right? We're the ones who pay for the beer. Like I told you, the 12-ounce beer that goes from $20 to $25 the next season, I'm the one who pays that. Not Albert Pujols, not Aaron Rodgers. Like, they're not the ones paying that. I'm paying that. So, as a fan, I'm paying $50 a seat, plus I'm paying $30 to $40 to park. And that's if I'm getting, and that's not even for a great spot at the stadium. Here in St. Louis, we actually have a decent situation. Like, what, $30 to park? Pretty solid spot at the stadium for $30, honestly. Right. Other cities don't have that. New York, they don't have that. Boston doesn't have that, like, because of where the ballparks are located. Physically, they just don't have that option. And so I know for a fact that, like, the people are the ones getting hit. And if I have to start looking at my bank account and talking about, I'm going to go to the baseball game, but it's going to cost me $300 just to go after I bought the tickets. People are going to get mad. They're not going to show up anymore.
Yeah, the pace of play too. You factor all those things in. Like, you can't expect kids to really want to sit there and watch a game when they got all this technology in front of them and all this fast-paced stuff that they're used to. TikTok, that's a 15-second thing. They get those and they flip to the next thing. That's what they're used to.
The way that they're ingesting the product now is different. Correct. Like when we were young growing, when I was young growing up, because I'm in my 40s, dude, it was TV. But you only had so many TV channels, and whatever they showed you is what you got. Now, for us, that was YouTube. If you were on TV at all, that's YouTube. That you were famous. Like, it didn't matter if you were the local news guy or you were like a national, like Joe Buck. It didn't matter what you were. Like, you were famous, like, because you were on TV. That was YouTube back then. Now, being on TV don't mean anything. Like, being in some of these places don't mean anything because these kids, like you said, they got TikTok. It's 15-second span, and then they flip to the next video. How do you turn a young person into a star unless those people are, like, actively engaging in TikTok? This is where LeBron James technically stands head and tails above other people, simply because he's willing to get on Twitter and interact. He's willing to put up videos here and do this there, and like those things help that. A lot of other players aren't like that. Your D Wade's, Dwayne Wade, and those guys weren't like that. They just want to play the game and get off. Like James Harden, he ain't trying to be like that.
Yeah, and you're starting to see it with the last 3 or 4 years of rookies. Like, they're doing the Twitch. They're doing all these different ways to interact and be personable with them, which they've taken away because with the pandemic, obviously there couldn't be fans there, and they want the fans a little bit less involved with the players. So they got to find other ways to engage and connect with these people. So social media, it's a great tool, but it's also abused with all of the different accesses that people do have to these players. They can never mess up. Like, all the stuff that goes on around them, they always have to be in the right mood and the right mind frame, because one little slip up, TMZ's, all over you, and that could be the end of your career.
So
it's really tough.
So I just want to switch gears for a quick second. And the reason I want to do that is somebody told me behind the scenes that you are into card breaks. Like, you are into the world of collectible cards and baseball cards and football cards and basketball cards and pro wrestling cards, all that stuff like that. You get into that world. Is that true?
Yeah. So I started a group in July of last year. We're approaching the 1,000 member mark already. I didn't have anything in doing a hobby. So honestly, I've been doing it by hand. All the footwork's been done by me. I got an investor that puts up for the boxes and stuff like that. So I think like the last 6 days I've hit a restock at one of the Walmarts around here.
Now, so I saw that they did a bit of a thing on, was it Real Sports? Over there on HBO. They got the Real Sports show for like an hour where they like break down different sports things. And then one of the things they talked about was baseball cards and basketball cards and football cards, like how during COVID it exploded much larger than it was prior to COVID. And that there are guys that'll pay, $150 for a box of cards to turn around and like $7,000 worth of stuff is in that box. Like, that's the value of it. Like, one guy, he had a card with like Giannis and Tanakempo or whatever is that, like the guy from Milwaukee. Yeah, Tanakempo. Yeah. Like, it was a card that had like a sliver of his like jersey cut out and put into the card. He's like, that's worth $80,000. And I was like, where? Why aren't you sell that? Like, why do you not have that? Like, so explain to me a little bit about what goes on in the world of cards right now. Like, What are you sitting on, Mike? What do you got right now that everybody and their mom wants?
So my best card right now, I'm a big Halliburton collector. The guy that was with the Kings just got traded to the Pacers.
Okay.
That's probably who I'm most heavily invested in. I just got like an 8 out of 10 card, and he's not too big.
Who'd you say, Halliburton?
Yeah, Halliburton.
Okay.
So, like the best way to describe the card market is like the stocks. So you see somebody like a couple nights ago, Sadiq Bey had a 50-point game. He's been a good rookie out of Villanova. People know who he is, but he hasn't been that type of guy.
So you got one game, 50 points. What can we do with that card?
That probably went from a $5 to a $10 to $12 card. So
you immediately jump on and try to sell that then?
I would say with him, you're probably not going to see that kind of production all the time, just based on Cade probably being the guy there, Cade Cunningham. But I do like him. He came out of Villanova. Anybody from Villanova to me is going to be a 10-year pro. Like Jay Wright does a great job up there. I think he's probably the most underrated college coach there is.
No, he's got himself a few championships the last few years, so it's not like he's unnoticed. Plus, he's got one of the most clutch last-second shots in the history of the tournament. Like, literally won the championship off of that shot. It was crazy, and it looks beautiful. The picture of that shot is, to this day, looks amazing.
Yeah, the little the back pitch thing where they ran across and
his
dump off. Yeah, he's a great coach. I don't know why they don't talk about him on the national level like they do a Coach K or Bill Self or all those kind of names.
I think it's because of the lack of championships. It's not because he's not a good coach. It's not because he doesn't get championships. He gets one. Like, I think he's got one, right? He's just got the one from a few years ago we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And that's the only one he's got, right?
Yeah, I think they've been to the championship game 3 out of the last 6 or 7 years.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Right now is where he is kind of making his name. And the problem is Coach K made his name 1991, right, 22 years, 25 years ago, whatever it was. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, 25 years ago, this dude won back-to-backs. And he had a killer team. And by the way, almost every single player from both teams ended up in the NBA. Almost every single player from both teams. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I think they give the Coach K's and all those guys a little bit more credence and reputation. Hey, listen, we got to take a quick break here on 105.3 FM, KYRO, News Radio, KYRO, 1280 AM. We got to take a quick break here. Michael Bruhin is sitting with me. We're going to talk about baseball coming up, the Cardinals. We're going to talk about professional Major League Baseball and what's going on with the entire season across the board when we come back here on The Q. We'll be back right after this.
Let's get it straight, girl. You don't need a nigga for nothing. Looking better every day. You got that Benjamin Button. Claiming he don't got a girl.
105.3 FM, KYRO, News Radio, 1280 AM, KYRO. And I am your host, Mark Bland. You're listening to The Q on this wonderful Saturday. We have Michael Bruhin with us. We've been talking to him about trading cards. We've been talking to him about everything going on in his life. But now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to break down some baseball. We have it back, and Mike loves baseball. Correct, Mike? I could be wrong.
Yes, sir.
He does love baseball. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about this. Mike, the season is finally back. We talked a little bit about why they did what they did and how happy or unhappy people possibly could be and the big money and this, that, and the other. But when it's all said and done, it doesn't really matter because the sport is back. It's ready to rock and roll. And what I want to know is, who should we be looking out for this year? You know, there's been a lot of talk about Albert Pujols trying to find a place. Maybe he comes now that they have the DH, right? Is that this season or is that next season? How is that working out?
I believe it starts this year.
It starts this year. So this season, you're going to have a DH in both leagues, whether it's AL or NL. And basically, a guy like Albert Pujols is at the end of his career, but he's got a great bat still, or a decent bat. Might be able to come home to St. Louis and retire as a Cardinal, which is kind of what everybody thought was going to happen. And Mike, you grew up watching Albert Pujols play. You watched him make his decision to go to Anaheim when you were younger and all this. How did you view that at the time?
I've always had a very business perspective with baseball since I played such high level baseball. When I was playing 70 games at 9 years old, so that was always the goal. It made sense. Why wouldn't you go secure your grandkids' kids? You're good forever. Cardinals could have matched it, sure, but going out to LA and just the whole what was supposed to be out there, they did a very good presentation to him. And at the time, I think it was like a $50 million difference at the time. The Cardinals came back real late trying to get into it. And I think Pujols just wanted to wrap it up at that point. So it's probably good that he left because his 10 seasons here compared to what he had out there, big difference. And he didn't play bad out there, but the 10 years he had here might be the best 10-year stretch of any baseball player.
Of course. Oh, he's a legend. He put himself definitely in an iconic position for those years that he played here as a St. Louis Cardinal. Do you see or foresee him coming back to St. Louis, maybe to fill that DH spot? Is this something that you think would be smart for him to do, or something that you would like to see him do?
If he wants to keep playing, what I would say for him is he should go to Colorado. Just with the thinner air out there, having a DH now. He's already played in NL West after last year. He hit pretty good with the Dodgers. So I think staying out there would be smart. And the Rockies aren't going to be a team that you're really expecting too much out of. So it won't be high leverage situation. So he'll just be able to kind of coast out of his career. But the one fallback with that is the Angels haven't made the playoffs in God knows how long. So he might want to make a playoff run. So that might be the reason why he picks the Cardinals. So I think it's between those two teams.
Would you like to see him as a Cardinal?
I'm not a Cardinal fan myself.
Oh, really? Who are you a fan of?
So growing up,
because you live in St. Louis, right? You grew up in St. Louis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Besides going to college,
don't feel bad. No, listen, I'm a Philadelphia Flyers hockey fan, die hard. Like the Blues won championships in the last couple of years, and I didn't care because I'm a Flyers fan and I grew up in Florissant. Like, so I get it. I totally understand being a fan of a different city.
Yeah, I grew up a Jose Reyes fan. I wanted to be a shortstop, even though I'm left-handed. So Jose Reyes, Castillo, Beltran, Delgado, that team. So 2006 was pretty hard for me when Yachty hit that home run.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So wait, what team again? I'm sorry. I guess I didn't catch it.
I was a Mets fan growing
up.
I'm like a player. Like I like players. I don't necessarily fall in love.
Okay,
with
that's fair. That's fair. Like me
in
in football, I'm a Tom Brady guy. I don't care where he plays. I just like Tom Brady. I just like winners. That's just how I always been. All right, let's break this down a little bit right now. Who's looking like the hottest division, bro? Like where's the hottest? Where's the hottest teams? Who's looking like they're maybe not guaranteed a shot at the World Series, but right now, based on paper, what everybody knows and sees from last season coming into this season, where are we at?
I think the AL representative in the World Series will definitely come from the AL East. You got the Blue Jays, they're ridiculous. They just signed Chapman too, so
the Toronto Blue Jays are looking that good.
Yeah, with Bichette, Guerrero, you name it. Like they got pitchers too, Barrios, Ryu.
Now, how did they do last year? I wasn't paying attention too much at the end of last year. How did the Blue Rays do last year with this with the squad that maybe had some of these players?
They were the best team ever to not make the playoffs. I think they had like 93 wins and they didn't make the playoffs.
93 wins and they didn't make the playoffs at all?
Yeah, because of the Rays, Red Sox, Yankees.
So that's a tough division then.
Yeah. And like this year, I didn't think the Yankees made great moves. I don't think they could. They wanted to bring up Volpe and they wanted to bring up some of the young guys like Dominguez. So you got Story going to the Red Sox. You got all the guys going up to the Blue Jays. The Rays are always going to be good. They're always going to find guys that pitch well, just under the radar guys. However they do their talent, they're crazy down there with the way they do their roster construction. So I think the AL East is probably the best division
in baseball right now. Technically, it sounds like
it's not even close. I can't even think of another.
What's the best NL division? What's the best NL division right now? Currently, you would think. Is it the Central?
No,
not the Central.
I would say probably the East, but the West is more consistent. Just play a certain brand of ball out there with the Dodgers, Giants. I think the D-backs will be pretty good. They got some young guys. Rockies can always hit, always can't pitch because of the situation.
Plus, we have the defending champions over there, correctly? Are we correct?
I think the Dodgers are they're in a position to where they have to take over for the city. I think LeBron's on his way out. I think my theory is he's going to be the owner of Cleveland, take his kid. That's going to be his narrative.
You think he's going to buy Cleveland? And you think he's going to buy into Cleveland and he's going to put Bronny over there, huh?
Yeah, I think that's his goal, to be the first player owner. It's one thing MJ didn't do. He wants something.
Well, that's not true. That's not true. MJ did player owner. He was Wizards. He bought the Wizards. He was, or I'm sorry, he was a owner of the Charlotte, right? He was
He's the owner. He had a minority stake going on
in Charlotte, right?
No, he's the owner of Charlotte now. I'm saying he had like a minority situation worked out with the Wizards,
and he played at the same time, so that would be owner-player, but not owner. Like he just had a minority stake.
I think LeBron's going to go full board at it because some of the moves he's made with the Fenway Sports Group that he's an investor in with Rich Paul and all them, it's looking like that. So I think the Dodgers are going to have to step up and be the team of the city, which is why they brought somebody like Freddie Freeman in. They have to win out there. Their lineup, it might be top to bottom the best lineup on paper we've ever seen.
Are you talking about in basketball?
No, the Dodgers.
Or Dodgers. Best on paper that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
You really think so?
That doesn't mean everything because we had the Eagles dream team back in 2008 or whatever that was. So we've heard those kind of narratives before, but on paper, that team is 1 through 9 is
solid.
I hate to be a pitcher.
That's fair. It's funny that you mentioned pitching. Pitching is always a really, really important thing. Currently, do the Dodgers have the best pitching staff, you think?
Probably not. But
okay.
They have the top-end talent to do it. Walker Buehler, to me, is as good of a pitcher as you're going to have. With Scherzer leaving, that does suck. But they got guys out there that are serviceable. They got Urias. Those two guys are top of the end, and you don't really need more than 3 starters in the playoffs. Like you need a 4th guy that can be kind of a swing man. But if you got 3 good starters, you can make it to the playoffs. And I definitely think they have the starters to do it. Not as good as they're winning, but I would say the Blue Jays probably have the best rotation top to bottom.
Okay. Question for you then. A few years ago, right after the Chicago Cubs broke their spell that lasted for almost 100 years, we had the Kansas City Royals come through with a couple back-to-back teams that were really, really solid. One won the World Series, and another one went to the World Series. I don't think they won that second one, but I know that they went to another World Series with that team. What's up with the Royals? What happened to these guys? And where are the Cardinals at right now in the mix? Like, tell us a little bit about our more regional teams that we talk about: the Cubs, Cardinals, the Royals. Around here, where are we looking at with those teams?
Out of the 4 teams that are real close with both the Chicago teams, Kansas City and the Cardinals, I'd say the White Sox clear-cut favorite out of those group of 4.
The White Sox. It's been a while since we've heard the name A.J. Pierzynski. I'll just say that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they got Grandal behind the plate. They got Jose Abreu. They have my buddy Jake Berger, who I played with. He's not a starter, but he's up there. Tim Anderson, who's been in the top 10 batting averages the last 3 years. Jimenez, they're loaded. Luis Robert, that's a very good team out there. I'd say with the
But
Royals,
eventually they're going to run into the AL East. That's the problem.
Yeah,
the problem is you're going to run into the number 5 team out of the AL East making 93 wins, and they'll smoke you. And now all of a sudden you're like, wait, I was really good looking. And it's like, you were really good looking where you stood. So you got to Rucker Park, and it's a different story the way they play on Rucker Park's courts versus your courts. I get that. I understand that.
I think they'll get to beat up on their division, though. They got the Tigers. They got the Twins will be okay. I think with them getting Correa, they'll be all right. The Royals, they're a small market team. So when they do a great job and they hit on all their draft picks and everything works out with the dominoes, it's going to work out. But you can't sit there and tell me there's going to be a free agent that looks at Kansas City and says, that's where I want to raise a family.
Now that's going back to our, the only team outside of the Cardinals or the Rockies that you're talking about, the only team I could see in Albert Pujols potentially even say, yeah, I want to do this is in Kansas City. And the only reason is he grew up watching George Brett. He grew up watching that 80s Cardinals team the 80s Royals team beat the Cardinals and all that. So he grew up there. He lived there. His hometown team that he was around, this is why he loved the Cardinals. He was right down the road from his house. That's a 3-hour drive, and it's not that hard to get to home. You know what I'm saying? To go back to see family and friends and this, that, and the other. That is the only other place I could potentially see an Albert Pujols go, you know what? I'm just going to go there just so that I have it on my resume. My hometown team, I was there. I played with them. I love them. You know what I'm saying? Not that I hate this team or that team or this. That's the only thing I've ever thought in the back of my head. Maybe I'm an idiot for thinking that. I don't know.
It just depends on what he's valuing. Does he want that? Does he want to get the 600? Or does he want to play for a championship? The Royals are not going to play for any type of playoff baseball. It doesn't matter if they expand to 22 teams in the playoffs. Royals aren't making the playoffs.
How tough's this Cardinals team looking right now? How are they looking? We know we got Yachty back. We know we got that working for us, right? How's that Cardinals team looking?
I think there's some question marks with the back end of their rotation. From what I was hearing, they're going to go with 4 guys and then have the 5th spot be kind of a swing role until Liberatore gets up and is full go. Especially with drawing a blank picture, Flaherty. He's got elbow issues going, so we'll see how that kind of goes. I think their outfield's set. I like Carlson. I like O'Neill. I like Bader. I think they complement each other well. You got Arenado. Shortstop, you don't know exactly what you're going to do. DeJong, he's probably going to play, but question mark. You got first base, got Goldie over there. You got Yachty behind the plate. So it looks like a good roster. But
solid roster, definitely more than 500. You would expect more than 500 on the wins.
I think they're going to probably win the division by at least 4 or 5 games. I don't expect the Cubs to be all that great. They're going to have a lot of young guys up. The Reds are probably going to be sellers at the deadline, just because unless they jump out to a big lead, they're probably going to get rid of Castillo. They're probably going to get rid of some other young guys that they got, just because they always seem to be right on the fringe and then rebuild again. Pirates, they're young. The Brewers, I like the Brewers a lot. Devin Williams being from the hometown. He's got the best changeup in baseball, in my opinion. Sad that he got hurt before the playoffs started last year with the whole punch in the wall situation. But
stupid decisions. You're going to have to deal with it. I mean, I get it. One last. Okay, so before we get out of here with you, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to even sit here and talk with us. One thing I wanted to bring up, you said the Cardinals could win the NL by a few games, which would put them in the playoffs. And one thing that I want to talk about is because March Madness is going on right now, right? Do you like March Madness? Do you get into college basketball? I love college basketball.
I mean, I like March Madness and stuff like that.
Sure, okay.
I haven't gotten college basketball as much the last couple of years.
Okay, fair enough. But my question I have is just like the Cardinals and the Yankees in baseball, right? They're like this predominantly well-known professional baseball squads, right? That have won a lot of World Series, gotten to a lot of playoffs, championship opportunities, stuff like that. You got the same thing with Duke, right? Or Kentucky or Kansas, like these name value, Alabama in football for college, like name value places. Once it becomes playoff time or March Madness, as we're seeing right now, I feel like sometimes the name value kind of comes back and allows these teams to like override certain aspects that normally they shouldn't be able to override with the roster that they have or the quality of the team. Do you think the Cardinals are anything down that road because they are the Cardinals? Once playoffs start, it's like, oh, we're the Cardinals and it's playoffs. Like we have a specific style of way we play and now it's going to start to show through anyway. Do you think that can be taken into account for any of these baseball teams?
I think the environment that the fans create in St. Louis is a big reason for it. You have other players talk about how fun it is to come here and play still, which is not something you say about the opposing fans very often. I think it comes down to Flaherty being healthy. He's got to be the top end guy because if Dakota Hudson has to step up and be the number 2 instead of the 3, or Michaelis has to be the 1 instead of the 2, or Matz has to step up into that role. I think they got the pitchers to do it. I don't know if they have the health to do it. Batting wise, I think their bats can hold up as long as O'Neill and Carlson don't hit sophomore slumps, which we've seen a lot of players do. You get scouting reports out there, people find out what you can and can't do. Usually that second year, you either boom or bust. So I think it comes down to the health of the rotation, how Marmol handles all of the just being first year coach, all that kind of stuff. And then, the young guys doing what they did last year. If they can repeat what they did last year and the pitchers stay healthy, they should be in a decent spot. I'm not going to say they're a favorite to win anything, but I could see them winning, first round.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Michael Bruhin for taking time out of his busy day. Mike, if the people out there want to get a hold of you or talk to you, check out what you got going on, where can they find you?
If you guys go on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, doesn't matter. If you guys type in Tower Vision Ventures, it should pop up. On Facebook is probably the best way to reach us. Just type in Tower Vision Ventures. It'll be the first thing that pops up. like the business page. And if you guys send me a message or I see you come through, I'll more than likely connect with you off my personal page too.
All right, fair enough. Well, Michael Bruhin, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to be here on The Q with us. And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more on The Q after this.
Welcome back to The Q News Radio 105.3 FM, 1280 AM KYRO. You can always check us out every single Saturday, 1 till 3 p.m. Central Standard Time here on newsradiokyro.com, or, just tooling around the St. Louis area in your car. You could just turn it on and you could hear us every single Saturday. And today we have Jason Kull. We just got done talking to Michael Bruhin, but we have Jason Kull with us. We have Andy Echele, and we are sitting here talking about, we were talking about the Britney Griner situation, and I told Andy to put a pin in it. He had his next argument all ready to go. Off the air, he even said, I want an answer for this. So we're going to give him his answer live on the air. Andy, have at it. What's your question? Or what's your statement? Or, the argument?
So, you think that she broke the law and she deserves to come home because she's an American citizen?
Could, because of potential wartime situation stuff that's going on right now and how she could be used against the United States to bait us into things. Yes, I think that they should pull her home.
Cool. So do you think she's the only American in a Russian prison?
I probably would be willing to bet and say not the only Russian in an American prison, or American in a Russian prison. Sorry.
Okay. So why aren't we arguing to bring the rest of them home?
That's a great question. So, why are we not doing that, right? That was the question?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we should be. There you go. There's your answer. You were looking for an answer. You got your answer.
So you think
we should be talking about other, and we can right now. We can talk about this.
And why?
I don't listen.
Why? Why though? Why?
Well, we know that they're not going to. Why do it? Okay. I understand this is very difficult for people to understand. It's not hard for me to understand. I'm pretty popular. But it's very difficult for a lot of other people to understand. So I'm going to put this out there. Some people are just more popular than others, okay? And we learned this in middle school and high school. That kid got to go out with that girl because, whatever, the popular kids. Whatever.
Sure.
We learned this, okay? Britney is what we would consider a high-profile target. And if you're a high-profile target, let me ask you a question. What's better for America right now in 2022?
Okay.
Britney Griner getting shot live on camera. They send the video around the world to let everybody know they got her. They took her out. Too bad. She's dead now, because that's who we are. We're in the middle of war. We don't care. Listen, if we want to pull you into war, we don't care. I know you. Okay, wait. I love how you went at the beginning of the show and you made them out to be a military superpower that I laughed off. But now when I say they might try to pull us into war, you're like, oh, that would never happen. Why want a military superpower with the ability to do it now?
I would seriously hope,
I'm asking,
that this country and nobody in this country would be stupid enough to say, oh my God, Britney Griner got shot in Russia. Because first of all, I don't think Russia's going to shoot her for trying to smuggle a cartridge of hashish oil out of the country.
No, that's not why they would shoot. Do you think that they...
No. I'm sorry, because they want to lure us into war. I'm pretty sure, I would hope that nobody in this country that runs this country would be stupid enough to say...
Would you be mind blown if it happened? Would it blow your mind?
Yeah, it would absolutely blow my mind.
What would you do on that day if you found that out? Like, it happened, you found that out. Like, how would you react to it?
That they were coming to... That they tried to bring us in because they shot Britney Griner because she was trying to smuggle the hashish.
He would immediately go buy all the toilet paper he could get his hands on.
Toilet paper and water. Cases of water to Costco is getting a run immediately. No. My question is simply... not the idea that they tried to bring us into war. Let's just say you found out that they did shoot her and kill her. On purpose. Now, they didn't say it's because of hash oil or because we're trying to drag you into war. They just did it and then sent it out to everybody.
I will come on this show.
How would the world view it?
I will come on this show.
Of course you will.
And I will apologize.
Yes.
I will say that I was completely wrong. I will never, ever ever, and book this.
Yes.
I will never argue with you again about politics.
Almost,
ever, about anything.
You're saying that you'll come to me like the NFL came to Tom Brady about the Tuck rule? Oh my God, I can't believe this. We were wrong. Tom, you are right. You are the best ever. You will always be the best ever. You're better than Tyreek Hill. You're better than Tyreek Hill.
And I'll tell you what, I won't even use my own right to vote anymore. I will vote for whoever you tell me to vote for.
Wow. That's
if
heavy.
you tell me to go out and vote all Democrat, I will vote all Democrat. The minute the bullet goes through Britney Griner's head, just to try to pull us into fucking, I'm sorry, just to try to pull us into war, okay? The minute that all that happens is the minute that I will come back and I will apologize profusely to you and allow you to control my power to vote for the next umpteen years.
You know what? I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. I kind of got a bit of a quarter chub. But you know what I'm saying? Like I'm feeling a little good about this situation right now because there's no lose here for me. Like if she doesn't get shot, that's great for us as a world and for her. Well, if she does, now I get Andy. This is just like win-win. Like,
you know, if she wanted to be in jail with other Americans, she should have been arrested in these other cities of other countries, because the top 5 cities in other countries for Americans in jail, Hong Kong, Toronto.
Interesting.
Well, that's easy. That's right across the border.
Yeah, so, Nassau and the Bahamas.
Yeah, that
nice.
makes sense.
London, and number 1, Tijuana.
Tijuana, of course. Of course. Well, yeah, it's because they're trying to fleece them. Guys, this is grifting. Grifting 101.
Yeah,
America.
Toronto and Tijuana,
Listen,
I mean, they're all like
you know what, Andy, let me go down this, Andy and Jason, let me go down this road for a second, because I'd like to hear your opinions on this. You know, somebody was saying something to me the other day, and it got me to thinking about that show, The Righteous Gemstones. And it's a show about basically a family of church grifters. Oh, yeah. It stars the guy who was Kenny, what's his name? The guy who was Kenny Powers. I can't ever remember his name. He's a good actor. He's not bad. But it's got him, it's got John Goodman, it's got everybody in it. It's a comedy, it's a dark, dark humor.
Danny McBride?
Yeah. Danny McBride, yeah, exactly. It's got him.
He's a great writer.
Well,
he's a phenomenal writer.
He's the one who writes the show. So here's the thing. It's his show. It's great. It's an amazing television show. But the whole idea is about grifters. And I started thinking about, like, where are your super churches usually at? They're in the South. A lot of your super churches are in the South. And the idea of church and religion, which is kind of why Danny's writing it the way he is the stereotype of grifting. Like the idea of...
All those pastors have Southern accents, every single one of them.
Not only that, but this is my point. Like,
that's because it calms the people's nerves. See, you got to understand
grifting.
From
you have to understand
southern
grifting.
Parts of the United States. It's that calming Southern Belle type style voice that just... soothes the soul.
You know what?
Fair enough.
Right. Give me some money.
Bless our hearts. Bless our hearts.
Saying, bless your hearts and reach deep into them wallets.
So now here's my point. My point is, I feel like now I've put the Trump, the religion, and then just the way we are as people together, and I figured out why he looked so amazing to them. Think of your Joel Osteens. Think of the people on the evangelical side that you go after. And on the evangelical side, we're talking about church. So you're talking about a lot of grifters. And you have a lot of people that like this idea of how to get one over on somebody else. And then here comes along a person who's really good at getting one over on someone else. They just use religion as their backdrop for it. And then here comes Trump along, right? Trump comes along and he's able to, what did I just say? He would lie about his own children, say that they never existed. Literally, Ivanka, who's that? I don't even know who you're talking about. She's a, what? No, God, no. I've never had a good looking daughter. What are you talking about? This is crazy. It's nuts. This dude would literally say one thing here, and then literally by the end of the sentence, he would change it up completely, okay? But that's a grift move. That's the idea of being able to sell you and you bait and switch.
Well, it's gaslighting.
So it's the idea of they found the ultimate in this, right? These people all love him because they grift together. Pat Robertson loves him. The 700 Club loves him. Everybody's grifting all the way across.
You know what,
the
though,
board.
about these grifters? Why aren't these other evangelicals, why don't they ever get mad at the amount of money that those priests, or those...
Because it's in God's will.
Because here's the thing.
Can you say it with a southern accent? It's in God's will.
See, it's God's will, and what they do is they reach deep. They have them deep hands.
Deep hands.
Shallow pockets.
Shallow pockets.
What would they say if a Catholic priest lived in a 12,000-foot square foot mansion with a
They
Lamborghini.
do. It's called churches, man. Have you ever seen a Catholic church?
Yeah, have you ever
Things
seen a
are huge.
rectory? The house they live in? It's not.
It's the size of our studio half the time.
It's a small, modest house. They don't seem to mind that Joel Osteen and these other grifting guys.
Well, the way their company runs versus the way Joel's company runs.
Because there's this thing. So you've heard of the seven deadly sins, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
So wouldn't that be the deadly sin of being envy? Of being envious of Joel Osteen, who owns a $18 million mansion?
No. I'm not talking about being,
Andy. I like your argumentation
I'm talking about
tactic.
being shocked that a man of God is a bazillionaire. People would freak out if a Catholic priest had $120,000 car.
Okay, so maybe
actually, I will say this. I went to Catholic school from grade 1 till grade 6, and every priest that came through that Catholic school drove at least the brand newest Cadillac. I'm saying at least the newest Cadillac.
Now, maybe it's also
not a Lamborghini.
But maybe it's also the way it works. Like, think about it this way.
It's because
hear me out. Think about the Catholic Church and the way they view things. They might be looking at the literal way that the Bible interprets this, which is the idea that
Reverend then don't make it a Catholic priest, make it anyone.
No. I'm saying the way that the Catholics look at the situation is from the viewpoint of, okay, Jesus said to live within to be almost a pauper, the idea that he was a pauper. So they take the Bible in a literal sense of we should live by the smallest means possible. Joel Osteen is just it's God's will. See, do you see what I'm saying? I forget about this story in the Bible because it doesn't affect or help me. But if I just say it's God's will and here's the book that says that, now you're not going to go through 12,000 pages to try to figure out if I'm right or wrong. You're just going to believe that that's the book where it says it. And by the way, a lot of people outside of this building on days that are not Sunday, they say they talk about Jesus, God, and the Bible a lot, so it must be real.
Well, look at that Keith Copeland. He made them buy him a
multiple jets. They always got a G4, G5, G6, G7. They always got the newest one.
But if
Creflo Dollar, Creflo, that's my man.
If some Baptist reverend would have had a big giant car, a big house.
You're talking Creflo Dollar now. You just keep going.
People would freak out, but they don't see the mind.
They did freak out on them.
These TV evangelical preachers make boatloads of money. It's like they just ignore it. It's a convenient ignore when it doesn't, or when it suits your ideology. It's a convenient ignore.
You know what? It's funny that you mentioned that because I'm dealing with a situation right now that I want to tell you guys about real quick, and then maybe we'll take a break, come back, and we'll get some of your opinions on that. Basically, I decided to take my kids to a local trampoline park. Nice. Now, for the sake of this trampoline park and their business, I'm not going to say the name of it. Okay?
I already know it.
Because I am being nice enough to make sure that we do not purposely try to hurt anybody out there, because that's not our purpose here. But I've witnessed this with my own eyes. I know for a fact that at this trampoline park, when I went into the bathroom, we are now post-COVID, right?
Yeah.
When I went into the bathroom, there was a puddle, multiple puddles underneath both urinals of pee.
Nice.
Now, this is on the floor, puddled on the floor, not draining down a drain, nothing like that.
Was that part of the ticket?
Hear me out. No, we did not. And here's the problem. It's a trampoline park. If you've been to a trampoline park as a parent, for all of you out there who've never been to a trampoline park, you wear socks.
Yes.
You wear socks to jump on the trampoline. Special socks with grippy stuff on the bottom or whatever it is. Okay. But you wear socks. So you have 9-year-old kids, right? Well, you got kids all the way from the ages of 4 or 5 all the way up to the ages of 20, 21, 22. It's across the board. And by the way, the place was packed. But we got kids 9, 10, 11 years old wearing socks, being 9, 10, and 11-year-old kids, right? They're excited to be
on the floor.
Being on the floor, excited to be at the trampoline park, so they're not paying attention to anything. Need to go to the bathroom. Walk in there. They don't have any other options, so they're not thinking, I can use the stall. Instead, that's not how it works for kids. They're just kind of one-track minds sometimes. Yeah. So standing in ladies and gentlemen.
And then go jump on the trampolines and get it all
on the floor. and then going and jumping on the trampolines and going out and jumping around in the ball pits.
Urine everywhere in this entire place.
Guys, this is, people are paying $20, $25, $30 a ticket to come jump at these parks. And this specific park was definitely not taking care of any of the bathroom functions that they should be.
Here's the question: did you let anybody know about that?
Of course I did. Okay. This was alerted to management.
What was their
We'll
response?
get on this. We'll get this fixed.
Okay.
Like this was not a situation where anyone maliciously went out of their way to do this. What I'm saying is prior to me even saying anything, this puddle is massive. Like, it's a sizable puddle underneath. Like, this is not something these kids were going to be able to avoid.
Somebody has bad
So this was happening, even if it was for 15 to 20 minutes, it doesn't matter. In 15 to 20 minutes, when you got 700 kids all in one place jumping around, it's like, you're going to at least have 50 of them go to the bathroom at some point, right? If they all don't use those urinals, you're going to at least have 10 to 15 of them who did, who stood in it, didn't realize, my feet are wet now. I don't, what is this? I don't understand. Oh, it's just water in their heads. It's just water that came out of the bowl, right? Yeah. They're not thinking. Then they just go out and they jump, and they're not telling mom or dad or whoever it is. Like, it's not even a thing. Anyway, listen.
Well, they're not old enough to know that people pee on the floor on purpose.
Exactly. Let's keep this in. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break here on The Q. When we come back, more with myself, Jason Kull, and Andy Echele. We'll be back on The Q after this.
Fell far away from what made her happy. She fell far away, now she don't know what happened. She was gonna be a doctor, wanted to be a vet. She was gonna be an actress.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 1280 AM KYR News Radio 105.3 KYRO. This is The Q. I am Mark Bland. Jason Kull is here?
Yeah.
That would be your last name is Jason Kull?
Yeah.
What Kull means to, have you ever looked into the etymology of your name? Like what it means? We should look that up real now. Here, let's go. You know where my favorite place to find out the etymology of things is Urban Dictionary, guys. Because when I think of getting accuracy, I think Urban Dictionary. So I'm going to go to Urban Dictionary. I'm going to put the word Kull in, and whatever it comes back with, that's the etymology. That's what you are.
That's it.
Oh, conquer.
Yeah. Kevin Sorbo.
That's right. Exactly. That's literally what it says.
There we go,
Kevin
done.
Sorbo, Conqueror. That's it. So there it is. Cole.
Isn't there a movie called Cole the Conqueror?
That's Kevin Sorbo.
Was it Cole?
Cole the Conqueror.
Okay, there's Cole the Conqueror. That's a TV show, right?
It used to be a comic
That was a TV show. Then there was Crawl. That has the 5-star with the Freddy Krueger nails or whatever all the way around.
There actually used to be a Cole the Conqueror was a comic, and then they made that one-off movie
with Kevin Sorbo, one of by far, ladies and gentlemen, him and Scott Baio, leaders of the Republican support groups. So, Andy, you a big fan? Kevin Sorbo?
Don't even know who he is.
Scott Baio?
He's
Chachi?
Hercules.
You like Charles in Charge, bro? You into
Scott Baio wasn't Hercules.
Come
Kevin
on.
Sorbo was.
Kevin Sorbo was called.
Scott Baio was Chachi.
No, the only Hercules I know is Arnold. Wasn't he Hercules?
No, he was Conan.
He was Conan.
Oh, yeah, he was Conan.
Yeah.
Wait.
Well, there was that Hercules in the WWE.
Wait, there was the Hercules movie that came out 10 years ago that was...
Yeah.
I don't know who the guy was.
Are you talking about Hercules from Clash of the Titans?
No,
because that's Perseus.
He was paired... He was on WGN when I was a kid, but I don't know what channel was.
What are you talking about, Sorbo?
Yeah, his Hercules show, because it was also
he was company. Hercules too. Yeah, you're right. He was Hercules. Kevin Sorbo played Hercules also.
The same company came out with Xena, the Warrior
Princess. Yeah.
That one, and then that one.
She looked way better in Spark.
Yeah, these production companies, they get into an idea and then they have to produce. Think about how many Gold Rushes there are: Gold Rush Alaska, Gold Rush Canada, Gold Rush Missouri. There's Alaskan Gold Rush. There's Extreme Pond Gold Rush.
Lucy, remember when
Lucy Lawless
sang the national anthem at someone's hockey game, and she went up like that with her arm and her boob puffed out.
She's always had what I would consider male features.
Great, right?
Lucy Lawless.
Have you ever seen Spartacus Blood and Sand?
Bro, I'm not saying...
That chick has no male features in that.
No, listen. I'm not saying Lucy Lawless is not a pretty woman. I'm not saying this at all. Or attractive. I'm saying that when they did Xena, she really came off kind of masculine.
She had a strong jawline.
She had a very masculine look and vibe to her, like the way that they presented her.
But have you seen Spartacus Blood and Sand?
But have you seen Lia Thomas? All right. Okay, I was just asking. Have you? Have you ever transitioned?
How tall
on
is
the
Lucy
radio?
Law? Lucy Laws is 5'10". The other girl is 6'4". Lucy Laws' is also net worth is $30 million. That is no way that's possible.
I'm staying off that Lia Thompson.
Why? Why is that? Why are you off of that train?
Like
What's the problem with her? Like, I don't. Is there an issue?
There's
with her?
no problem with her. There's no problem with her wanting to transition. My problem is with her wanting to transition for sports purposes.
I agree with you.
Okay.
See, here's the thing.
All right.
Look,
I'm listening.
I'll make it real simple, okay? If you
Yes.
want to transition, I don't care who you are. Okay. First of all, I don't agree with this whole not assigning a gender at birth thing because, you got to let the kid decide. Women. That's ridiculous. That's just absolutely ridiculous. If you decide that you feel like you're not the right sex, okay, and that you're you're not a boy, you're actually a girl, and you want to transition after you hit puberty, fine. I support you 110%. Go do what makes you happy. All right. What I don't agree with is people who have trained for something their entire life as a male and then transition and do it as a female. All right. Because let's think about it. Let's just say, for whatever reason, all these phenoms started coming out in the NBA, and LeBron's averages dropped to like 8 points per game, a rebound, and like he only got to play 5 minutes because of all these other young phenoms, right? So then LeBron's like, I've always felt like I was a woman. So then he transitions and he goes plays in the WNBA.
Dominates.
Let me ask you a question. How many WNBA players do you think are going to take on LeBron as a female?
Well, not Britney Griner. She's in prison.
Well, yeah, I know, because she's going to get shot in the head because Russia's going to try to pull us into war. But yeah,
I agree to an extent. Like, here's the thing: is
I don't think
the other women involved in swimming have also been training their whole lives, and now they shouldn't lose their status or their place because she wants to transition and to get into, I just don't. Yeah.
It's no look. If you have a girl that's 5 years old and a boy that's 5 years old, you put them both into wrestling at the same time. All right, and then they train. They do everything exactly the same, and then you bring them out at 25 years old and have them wrestle. Who do you think's going to win?
Well, it'll probably be the boy, but.
I guarantee you it's going to be the man. I guarantee it's going to be the man. It's no different than the trans MMA fighters that go in there and they're like, I'm a woman now. I'm going to fight women. And what do? They break women's jaws in 10 seconds. Why? Because it's a dude hitting a chick. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's what it is. It is a guy. It is a biological male, and I'm sorry to say this for
Why are you sorry to say anything?
All the LBGTQ, XYZ. There's extraditional.
We got it. We got it. You're dismissive of letters. Go on.
There's males and there's females. There are not 18 different sexes. You either have an X chromosome or a Y chromosome. Okay, and if you have a Y chromosome, you are going to be built different than an X chromosome.
Well, gentlemen.
Now, there are the few medical oddities that do have both. I will say that. All right. But they will never be a straight, full-on actual male unless they take hormone therapy, or a full-on straight female unless they take hormone therapy.
Okay. Guys, I don't think that there's a lot of people out there that agree with you, okay? And one of those people is Governor Ron DeSantis from Florida. You guys are in the same boat as Ron DeSantis. Ron declared University of Virginia swimmer and Florida native Emma Wyant, 20 years old, the rightful winner of the NCAA 500-yard competition. Wyant came in second place, 1.75 seconds behind transgender UPenn swimmer Lia Thomas, 22. DeSantis said in a proclamation on Tuesday that the NCAA was putting ideology over biology and that he would not stand for it. Women have fought for decades to have equal opportunities in athletics, and it is wrong to allow ideology to erode these opportunities, he said on this past Tuesday. Wyant has not publicly commented on the proclamation or Thomas's win.
It is
which is interesting because she got second place. She's a biological woman, and she's in a really precarious position based off of even the things that you guys have presented. This idea that, hey, listen, I might agree with Andy and you. as her, as the Wyant, okay? I might agree with you guys, but I have to keep my mouth shut. As a woman, I'm not going to be allowed to say, because if I say it, they're all just going to come down on me. It's going to be a 50-50 slide, which is America. That's America. It's okay.
If I say something's wrong with it, I'm homophobic. I'm transphobic. She's going to be a phobic.
Okay. It's okay as long as you're not dismissive. Don't be dismissive. Like, one of my favorite things about BLM was it was never the idea that all lives matter was a bad statement. It was the fact that you would only say it at the most insensitive and inopportune times, which makes it look like it's a dismissive statement, like the ZBGDQLD letters, like that. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not that you physically are being wrong, or that what you say has no value. It's that this move at this moment makes this look like this. And that's where the real problem comes in for a lot of people in this world.
I will have to say
and that's conservatives. That's you. I'm not trying to knock you. I'm just saying, read your room. Read your room. Like, know your room. This is why the others get one up on you every time. Read your room. For years, all I heard in the 80s and the 90s was, we'll kill them liberals because ain't none of them shoot guns. They don't know how to. By the time you get to 2015, it's like, I see as many liberals posting their gun pictures and shooting at the targets as the Republicans. End of story.
But it is
like
nice
that game's over.
It is nice to see Ron DeSantis sticking up for women's rights.
Ron DeSantis actually made a good move this past week. You guys are going to love this. Did you guys hear about the new curriculum addition that Ron DeSantis and the state of Florida have decided to institute across high school? It's fantastic. They are expecting you to take one semester of literacy in economics.
Good.
It's an economics literacy class, and it's like your home ec. Remember home ec? Yeah. Like checkbook, mortgage, like literacy about the economy and economics, and they're making it mandatory for everybody. Good. I think it's a great move. Ron DeSantis is the biggest, worthless, most big, bloat-headed moron that I've ever, just as bad as Trump and the rest of them.
So it wasn't his idea.
It might not have been his idea. It might have been his idea. I will agree with this thing that he signed off on. This is a good idea. I feel like this should be in every state.
I took economics in high school, and that was 30 years ago. He's not breaking
But my point
ground.
is, I feel like, no, it's not that you can or can't take economics. There's economic courses in high school that you can take. He's making it mandatory that everyone has to take a literacy class, an economics literacy class.
He's making it a dumber down version of economics.
Sure.
So that everybody can understand basic economics.
Right. They need to understand mortgages. To be honest, most people don't understand how a balloon mortgage works, how a high interest rate works. They don't know any of these things. So that's why they're doing this. I think that's genius. One of my favorite things about those liberal countries like Sweden and Denmark and all them, they do still have the home economics. In fact, it's a major part of their curriculum to graduate and get out of what they don't call it. What do they call it over in England? They don't call it school.
They call it primary school.
But they call it, like primary college or finishing school or whatever. Exactly. Yeah. They have different words. Just call it an elevator, okay? Stop calling it a lift. Nobody thinks that the word lift is better. No one does. They just call it an elevator. It sounds cooler. Elevator action.
In the Queen's English.
Freaking lift. These people, I swear. Yeah, guys, we've talked to get back to the Lia thing. We were talking about the Lia thing. Let me finish off.
I mean, just make a simple yes or no statement. Do you feel that she deserves to participate in NCAA sports?
In NCAA sports,
as a female who just transitioned.
Here's what I would do. I would just be male sports still, okay? But dressed as a woman. Okay, right? Because they're always talking about trying to get women into men's sports.
I'm perfectly fine by that.
They're always trying to get men or women into it, she's going to be the first referee for the NFL. And this one's the first one on Tuesdays after Thanksgiving. They always have a new, stat that they have to put out there to try to make them seem important. Yeah. But it's not like they broke the wheel every single time. They're not recreating the wheel. So my thing is simply the idea that we take a person like Lia Thomas, right? And we say, hey, listen, you're going to still swim against the men. You can go and transition all you want, still swim against the men.
Perfect.
And by the way, when you break this record or when you do this, you'll be the first female and transgender to do that in the sport. Okay? I do understand biology. I understand science. I understand your book with the God guy and stuff. I get it. I understand all these things. And I'm a Catholic. Born and raised. Growing up that way. Mm-hmm. But there is biology, guys. Hey, I've come on this show and said, LG, let's go blues, trans, queer. Okay. LGBTQ, right? Yeah. And I've always said on the show, let's go blues, trans, queer. Yeah. Okay. I make sure that I have it right in my head. Okay. The B stands for what?
Bisexual.
Bi?
Yes.
Well, how many things is bi?
That's two.
It's only two? It's only two?
I'm pretty sure
it's only two. So within their own vernacular and their acronyms that they use, they also understand that there isn't pan. It's not LGBTQ. Like, pan, multisexual.
No, but see, that's the problem. I think they are starting to throw in more letters for that.
Let them. My point being, at one point, when it was the simplicity of LGBTQ.
Actually, it wasn't even LGBTQ back then. It was LGB.
It was LGBT. It's always been LGBT because there was always trans.
LGBT.
This is why we had the famous movie Crying in the Crying Game. I think it was Crying Game. It's literally called The Crying Game. I'm like trying to sit there and describe it out. Like he cries in something. Okay. But yeah, like, guys, I don't have a problem with Lia Thomas existing. And I don't have a problem with her competing. And you know what? I don't even have a problem with her competing with the women if the women sign off on it. Like, it's a situation where, like, the women have a board within, like, and all the women sign off on this and they all agree that they're cool with it.
But see, that's a slippery slope.
That's fine.
Because what happens when they say no?
But if you just institute it from the top down, now we got Wyatt, right?
What's going to happen? What's going to happen to the liberals? What are the liberals going to say when all the women say no? When all the women in the sport say, no, we don't want a trans woman to compete against us because we feel that they have an unfair advantage against us.
Rules.
What are the liberals going to do at that point? They are going to freak their ish, and they are going to call them all transphobic, homophobic.
Well, I mean
mostly transphobic.
Majority rules. There's a difference between not wanting her to compete because it's unfair for the other females and not wanting her to compete because you want to attack her. And that's what some on the right do. They want to attack her because they don't like transgender.
And that's absolutely wrong.
Yeah, that's the difference.
That is the most wrong thing that I can say. That's why I agree with Mark. I have no problem with her living and existing, but I have a problem with her competing as a female.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break here on KYRO, The Q. Mark Blaine will be back. Check out theqnow.com between this commercial break, and we'll be back in just a bit. 105.3 FM KYRO. That's News Radio KYRO 1280 AM. And you can always check me, Mark Bland, out at theqnow.com, as well as our guest today, Andy Echele, as well as Jason Kull. They are both here. They've been kind of sitting by. But, you know, whenever Andy comes on the show, things always take a turn. Andy loves to get into anything that's juicy. Like, he gets to those gossip pages, right? He likes to get into all that. And sometimes people write in. Sometimes I pull from the internet. It just depends. But I've got some stories here for Andy to kind of play Dr. Love. He loves to play Dr. Love. Dr. Love's an old gimmick that we had on the show years ago that Andy just loved to sink his teeth into. So let's get into this. You ready for this, Andy?
Absolutely.
Is Dr. Andy ready?
The doctor's
Dr. Kull, are you ready, sir?
Ready.
To conquer? Okay, that's why we call you the Conqueror. Okay.
Dr. Conqueror.
Here we go. First up. My boyfriend and I have not had sex for more than 2 years, Andy.
What?
When I first asked him about it, he hemmed and hawed. When I pressed him, he said he doesn't have any interest. I felt like he was not telling me the whole truth. When I suggested he tell the doctor, my boyfriend said he could not do that because his doctor is an old family friend. He won't go to another doctor. I don't know what to do. Staying in a long-term relationship without sex doesn't appeal to me at all, but I love him, so leaving him is really not an option in my mind either. On all other levels, we have a great relationship, but I miss his and I miss intimacy. I've tried many things, but I am sick and tired of being refused. He will remove my hand from his if you touch it, and he does not seem to ever get chubby anymore. I used to think that was my fault, but no longer accept the blame. What can I do? Unhappy, not having any penetration play is literally years. So that's where we're at. Andy, what do we do? What are we going to do?
God, that's tough.
We got 2 years of a relationship where the sex hasn't happened, okay? There was years probably before that where the sex was happening just fine and everything was golden. Now, we're deep enough to where love is involved. We have, family and people and lives. We might even have children entangled into all this, but we're not having intimacy, and it's bothering me as the wife in this situation. So what am I to do? Love versus intimacy. And I can't buck one side or the other because both are entrenched pretty deep.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Man, that's I don't know. You have to sit down and try to talk to him and try to figure out how to spice up the love life a little bit, whether that be watching something of the adult material together, whether it be I don't know, bringing in toys. I don't know if you really feel like it's.
But what if he like she said, he keeps knocking it away, even though she's brought it to his attention. Anytime she goes to make moves, he's knocking it away. He still doesn't want it. Is this? You know what, Andy? Is this a situation where we might have to walk anyway?
Yeah, I think so.
Is this a situation where we might have to walk Jason?
Unless it's medical, how can you stay? 2 years is a long time.
Right.
That's a really long time to not.
Right. And listen, I know people with erectile dysfunction. And I know that their sex lives probably aren't the greatest by any means whatsoever. No. But, some of them have been in long-term marriages. Sure. They've been married for 15, 20, 25 years, depending on the person. You know what I'm saying? So, there are people that deal with this on a day-to-day and for multiple years, By the way, there's a lot of our grandparents that just haven't done anything for 10-plus years simply because you get to an age where you just don't think about or care or go down that road. So, I'm just saying.
Go down on anything else.
Yeah, in this case, they're younger people, but my point being, oh Jesus!
Yeah, they didn't even say it.
I'm just saying you just kicked. No.
She only said penetration.
No, she said he'll push my hand away if I put it on his what.
Oh well, there. Hey, okay.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know,
man.
Now, what about this? What about this? Can I present this as an option on the board? Okay. Now this might be a little radical. This might be a little liberal of me, okay? Because you know what the word liberal means, right? To do things in abundance or more normal. You know what I'm saying? That's what liberal means, right? Conservative is, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Smack your hand away. Smack your hand away. Don't have sex for 2 years. Okay, now, if I could put this out there, what if we offered up the idea that maybe, ma'am, you could maybe talk to your husband, boyfriend, whatever. Was it husband or boyfriend? I can't. It was boyfriend.
I think it was boyfriend.
Yeah, I think it was
boyfriend. Yeah. My boyfriend and I, you could maybe talk to him about the idea of opening up the relationship a little bit. If he is interested, he's obviously uninterested in the intimacy right now.
Well, it depends. So
he's not telling her that it's medical. So if it was medical, I'm sure he would throw that out there immediately.
Sure.
But he's not. So it's not medical.
Let me ask you a question. Here's the thing. Yes, absolutely bring that up. And here's my this would
I want to be the guy. No. Come on over to Andy Eccles' house down here, 145 next to Governor Ron DeSantis' mansion. We're right next door. It's amazing. I'll grift you all day long. Grifting.
This would be my my bridge, my breaking point, basically. If you bring that up,
do this in a Southern voice.
Well, I could certainly try.
Please do.
If you please do bring this up to your significant other and he agrees, then that means that he does love you. So that does mean that he does want you to feel that passion that was there to begin with. But if you bring that up to him and he says no, well then, my darling, you have no option but to, as Pantera so politely put it, walk.
Pantera reference. You can't beat that, ladies and gentlemen.
With that, boys, I just feel like we're about ready to pass like legislation that's just going to hurt.
I feel like Lindsey Graham is standing there with his hand on my shoulder as we speak, is what I'm trying to say. By the way, LGBT, and nobody ever brings up Lindsey. I don't understand this, okay?
He's a pearl.
Andy, very, very good. Very good information there. Let's move on to another one. You ready?
Yep.
All right, let's try this one out. Let's see how we can handle this one. You ready? I'm a 65-year-old gay man.
Yeah.
And over the past few years, I've completely lost interest in having sex with other men.
All right.
Coincidentally, pleasure from the prostate has gone to a whole new level. I'm now having the most intense and powerful prostate-induced things and orgasms one could ask for. Like universe intense. Do I need to see a therapist?
No.
But
get some of that hashish oil.
Only if you're unhappy, I think.
Go crazy.
Like if you're unhappy with something, like you feel like this idea of a man in your life and being able to fulfill them sexually, and then
here's my question.
I'm just saying.
What's he using to stimulate his prostate?
I don't know, and I'm not going to get into it. The question is, does he need to see a therapist?
No. Having a great
you don't
time.
need to have a
Living his
therapist.
best life.
You're fine. Live your life.
65
just do your
years
thing.
old, hand up the whatever.
Just like a fire hose, man. Spray it wherever it goes.
All right.
I support that.
Here's a good one for you. Doctors to take a shot at.
I wish I was a doctor. I'd make a great doctor.
Why do adult men want to look like prepubescent boys by cutting away their hair down there? Hair is masculine and should be allowed to thrive in its natural habitat.
No, when it's hot, you don't trim that down in the summer? Dude, really, you don't?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah, you have to. Isn't that gross? Like,
listen, I guess
you have not experienced the pleasure of having a female use her tongue.
No. Where's this going? Stop. Just stop. Okay?
Just saying.
Too deep. Okay, listen.
Look, man,
wait a second. We need to discuss something.
Exactly. Where do you think I'm talking about cutting my hair?
You got to keep it groomed, man.
Guys, we have to discuss.
Whether you just cut it short or you shave it completely off. I mean, that could be personal.
Okay, wait.
It looks like a
There's
sick
got to be
turkey
some
if you shave it
landscaping.
completely.
Do you guys mind if I speak on the Q show with Mark Bland? Is it okay if we do this? Let me try this for a second here on the show. There's a lot of different ways different guys handle that with their lives, right? Sure. Some guys are maybe they talk to their parents or somebody like that when they're growing up, and they kind of get the idea, oh, maybe I need to do that, and so they manicure down. Other people never talk to their parents about these things in their lives. They never have the conversation. So, like, they choose not to do it because it's just never been something presented to them. Like, my point being, everybody's kind of different with the way that they approach these things. So this idea that everybody just in the summer needs to be trimming up because that's just how Andy and the Kull do it. I don't know if that's necessary.
I do it just in the summer.
I tell you what I'm
try
going
to
to
keep that nice and clean down there.
Now, do you grow heavily down there?
The second I leave here, I am going to call my parents and ask them.
Can't imagine more than any other guy.
I'm just saying, like some people, like Andy, you are a much hairier individual than I am as a human being, right? If we took our shirts off, you have a lot more hair on your body than I do. It comes in thicker too. That's just a different body makeup chemistry. Who you are, genetics. There's nothing wrong with that. My point being, though, everybody's a little different, right? So if it's constantly coming in, right? Yeah, the guy who barely ever sweats doesn't have to put on deodorant as much as the guy in the back of the room that's constantly got the sweaty armpits. Like, we all understand these things, okay? Yeah. It's not a thing. All right. We're going to move on. We're going to move on, and we're finishing up the show here. We're having a little fun. We've been talking about some edgy subjects, but I want to get into some of these unpopular opinions because these are fun. These are things that sometimes you agree with, sometimes you don't. Okay, so sometimes you like Mark Bland, and sometimes you're like Ron DeSantis, okay?
So
you're center-right is what you are. You're center-right, and you are a Republican senator or congressman or governor of a state or whatever, okay?
Are we going to do this rapid-fire yes-no, or are we going to discuss each one?
I think we can discuss a couple. We don't have to get into it. Let me choose some prime ones. You know what I'm saying? Let me go through here. Jeans are uncomfortable and not very good everyday pants.
That is the worst opinion I've ever heard.
Yeah, you think that's a bad opinion?
Maybe
that's horrible.
Maybe
you don't like it. You don't like it
in like 1988, but now
Start Your Runs. Remember the Colonel days? You would go to Colonel days to get Levi's because that was
jeans now have that.
stretch to them, the movement to them.
Super cute.
Now, but the idea of them not being good everyday pants.
Maybe you bought one.
Where are you guys at on your jeans in your life? Is it you guys wear jeans the most of the time? I do. I wear jeans most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah.
Well, it depends.
I do have a couple pairs of khakis I throw in there to flip things around every once in a while, but beyond that, like that's it. I know there's guys that probably wear a business suit every day, so they're always in slacks.
Yeah.
Jeans are probably only on the weekends, and if they think about jeans, they might be in basketball shorts or whatever. Like, so everybody's a little different.
Exactly. I mean,
people got uniforms. Some people got uniforms, so like they got to wear
Well, like for me, I wear like basketball pants when I go to work. So
you wear basketball pants when you go?
Well, like the
rip away with the buttons.
No. Kind of like that. They're
Globetrotters. You show up.
He shows up at work and just rips his pants off.
I do.
Do it.
And then I just let
That would be amazing.
That'd be awesome.
If you did that every time, I would watch that TikTok every day. Like just to watch you just rip them away.
No, I mean I just wear like
saying.
athletic, comfortable pants. You know, in the wintertime, and then in the summertime I'll just wear shorts. You know, but that's just to go to work. Whenever I get off work or whenever I'm off duty and I have days off, yeah, I'm always in jeans.
Just that visual is amazing. This might be the best episode we've done in a long time. No matter how much we've left on other episodes.
I'm just saying, you don't want to see that hog without it being strapped down.
Right, the piglet, yes. So let's talk here. This is a good one. This one, I want to hear you guys' opinion on this one. This one could like divide the waters. Really, it honestly could. Commute time should be paid for. Commute time for your job should be paid for. So, like, if it takes you an hour and a half to drive to work, they should pay the hour and a half for you to drive to work. Now, hey, listen, guys, you're working. Every minute that you're driving towards that place is you trying to get there to help them out. So this is part of, like, I'm not saying it's part of the deal. I'm just saying, like, there's an argument there for you to make money. And by the way, this is an extra, listen, some people live an hour away from where they work.
I do.
Okay? All right. That's an extra hour here and an hour there every single day bumped onto your case. So that's 10 extra hours of pay every week.
Yeah, I can
think about what that would be worth to you. I can see why people would want to do it, but I said this divides the waters.
I think that they would have to put a cap on it, like a half hour. I think it would have to be like an hour a day. 1 hour a day. That's all.
I say that, like you said, cap at 30. Well, like just say 30 minutes, because most people live within 30 minutes of where they
work. That's what I'm saying. 30 minutes to 30 minutes from.
Back, an hour a day.
1 hour a day.
An extra, because they would take that into account when it's a raise. They'd be like, "Oh, we gave you your commute time, whatever."
Because I'm just saying right now, like I work in Wood River, Illinois. I live in St. Peters.
Got it.
It's generally speaking, when I go to work, I can make it to work in about 35 to 40 minutes.
There's nobody out on the road.
Okay, yeah, because there's nobody out on the road.
Now, do you usually go all the way around, or do you take the ferry over? How do you get over?
No, I 370, 270 across up to 255.
Oh, up to 67 Limburg up and that.
Well, no. 270 across.
255, almost.
Oh, and then you just take like Route 3 straight up, or
255 north.
Oh, I didn't know there was a 255.
Yeah.
Like I knew that there was.
Now, I could see wanting more money. Like if I
thought they called 255 Illinois side of 270.
The 270 loop is 270.
Yeah, it turns into 255.
All in St. Louis, and then it turns into 255.
Oh, yeah, but where
it runs right back into 270.
Oh, where?
But
is
it goes
Wood River along the river?
No.
Oh, okay, that's where my confusion is. That's where I was talking Route 3 up the river.
255 goes up. Continues to go north.
So anyway, yeah.
But I was saying, like, if you work somewhere and they make you go to like another plant or another place, then I could see getting that money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Accept a job, you know where it's at. They're not going to pay you because you don't want to drive.
Because I'm going to say, if they want to pay me to drive, I'll move to Columbia and we'll just, I'll stay up a little bit extra and get that extra money.
Fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to get out of here on the queue. That goes so fast. I first off want to thank Michael Bruhin for doing the baseball talk with us. I want to thank Jason Kull for being here. Thank you so much, sir. I want to thank Andy Echele for being here, for being a part of the team today.
Deuces, gooses.
We really do appreciate it. We're going to have to get Andy on more often. I love when we have these repertory.
Get me on or get me off more often.
We'll save that for Dr. Andy, okay? We're going to save that for Dr. Andy. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here on The Q. Make sure you check out theqnow.com. Old episodes, new episodes, everything in between. If you love us here, go find us, our podcast version of this. Like it, add it on Apple Podcasts. If you don't, if you just want to call the radio station, tell them how amazing this show is. Maybe you absolutely hated it. I don't know. But just let everybody know at KYRO, and we We thank 105.3 FM, 1280 AM, KYRO News Radio, KYRO.com for having us on every single week. We are going to see you guys next time on the show.